Before we begin to discuss his mental state, let's talk briefly about his history.
Wait! You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
Wade Wilson, or Deadpool, started off as a normal mercenary, till one day he learned he has type 4 cancer that cannot be cured. So out of desperation, he joins the Weapon X program, which at the time was trying to recreate Wolverine's healing factor. The experiment was a success on Wade, and Weapon X did not realize this, and dumped him into the place where they sent the rejects. However, it horribly scarred his body. At one point, Wade defended someone, and the rule in this place was if you fight, you are killed. Well, they cut out his heart, but this kicked in his healing factor, and it grew back. After this, Wade escaped and took on the name Deadpool, which came from a pool that the people there had on who would die first. Once free, he traveled the globe, trying to figure out his past and killing for money. Now let's look at the reasons why the people around him think he is crazy, and why he may actually be crazy.
You're insane! Not as insane as you think.
He has a unique form of schizophrenia. Normally when someone has schizophrenia, they just hear voices. Deadpool hears the voices, yes, but he hears two. One is sort of a smarter, somewhat more mature version of him. The other is a more childlike one, and he talks with the voices, and they often help him figure out problems. Now, another reason some people think he's crazy is just because he has a healing factor, and he is often very reckless. Like, he may go attack a base without even thinking it through. Another reason the comic characters think he is crazy is because he breaks the fourth wall, which is where he talks to the audience or makes some sort of reference that he is in a comic. And he often talks to the audience or references past issues, and this tends to confuse the other characters, and that's one of the main reasons I think he's crazy. Now, the reason I think that Deadpool has a mental switch is because he will make jokes at very inappropriate times or in serious moments, as can be seen in the picture where Deadpool is talking to a SHIELD agent about making a beer joke, and she goes, "Sure, go ahead and make jokes about beer instead of talking about something important." He then completely ignores her comment. Another aspect that makes him crazy is he's in love with death, the physical embodiment and the idea. There was a time when he dated death, and every time that he would come near to death, or he would technically be dead, but then he would be healing, he'd be with her, and he has even retreated into his own mind and was with death. It could have something to do with the schizophrenia, but I'll get to that in a moment. But he's also in love with the idea of dying, because he can't die. And for a time, he was really wanting that. Like, he was trying to kill himself, and it just couldn't work because of his healing factor.
Death, my girl, omnipotent, otherworldly, hot. She totally wants me, and I understand that because I totally want me too. We met during some of my near-death experiences. We can't be together until I die, but I can't die!
The last bit doesn't make him crazy, so to say, since the disorder he has. He does not like to be seen without his mask, and feels as though people make fun of him when he does not have it on, as seen in this picture where he is locked up. He tells the other inmates to stop staring at him, and he then threatens them. In the next picture, he is asked why he wears the mask. He replies with, "So I don't get stuff in my mouth when working." The psychiatrist then says, "But you also wear it when you're not working. Why is that?" Deadpool replies with a violent, "Because I like it, okay?" Now let's take a look at what makes him crazy and compare the differences to our world and his. Schizophrenia, in layman's terms, is a disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and acts. The person affected may have trouble telling what is real or not, and may withdraw, and they also have trouble expressing normal emotions in social situations. This would explain why when he was locked up he withdrew into his mind. Now comparing this to his world and ours. In Marvel, there are people who can possess someone or make them hear voices. Does this make them crazy? No. But in this case, it makes Deadpool crazy because his voices are made by him, not an outside force. As for his recklessness, this does not make him crazy in our world or his. He just needs to show better judgment. And if he really was to utilize his healing factor, he could pretty much be unstoppable, kind of like Wolverine. Now, the breaking the fourth wall is an interesting factor. See, to us, we are real and the comics are not. To the comics, they are real. So the comic characters think Deadpool is crazy for believing they are just stories being read by someone. However, to us, he is not crazy, he is just self-aware. The Witzel Such is also something that does not make him crazy. He just does not know what is socially acceptable and what is not. And he has really no control over what he views as socially acceptable. So this doesn't make him crazy. It just means he doesn't know the social norms. That would be like me going to Mexico. They might think I'm crazy for assuming it's always hot, but it might not always be. Now for the being in love with death. I would have to say that this does make him crazy. And that's because, well, there have been people who are in love with death. And that kind of made them suicidal, which in a way makes them crazy. But we have to look at Thanos, who controls a glove and is an evil dictator. But he's also in love with death. But he's not crazy. I think Thanos would just be an exception. While Deadpool being in love with death, that makes him crazy. The wanting to wear the mask disorder does not make him crazy in my book, nor in the comic world. In that world, the people often need a disguise, and what better way than a mask? Plus, it helps make him feel secure, as stated in the picture. And as I said before, he wears it because he feels like people laugh at his appearance. Alright, the votes are in, and he is not crazy, based on what I have found. He just happens to be more self-aware. There's parts in that make him seem crazy, but, he's attached crazy, but who's not? So, in conclusion, no, he is not crazy.